In Jesus' mighty name. Hearken to your God, 10 commandments, what he gave to us. Walking through your neighborhood, what Bibles, yeah, they stay with us. Famine in the land, see him sleeping, we gon' wake him up. Thus said the Lord, he coming to earth, he not gon' take him up. Try the spirit by the spirit, you won't be asleep. If you try the spirit by the spirit, you won't be deceived. If you try the spirit by the spirit, they can't lie to you. If you try the spirit by the spirit, Lord acknowledge you. A lot of them lying and never real. They got them on wine and never clear. They play with them kids, they pedophile, but they say the message a better feel. They fall on the ground with the Holy Ghost. They speak with a tongue they ain't never know. They drink of the wine and overdose. A lot of them drunk and I never know. Nothing but lies come out of them. She got the nations inside of them. They worship the stars, astrologers. You not a preacher, you just a philosopher. You just like the wife of Potiphar. All of them lies coming out your esophagus. Don't like that we read when we preach, but ain't no stopping us. We serve the Most High. We got children that are slide. We know he came to divide. We just pilgrims in this life. Select your pick, now you on the clock. The lake of fire, that's forever hot. Choose life, you might just get a spot. With the Lord reigning at the top. Try the spirit by the spirit. All them lies that get to disappearing. But we really gotta pay attention. Yeah, we really gotta pay attention. You know the Lord on the way. He can come back any day, but not until the abomination of desolation defile a holy place. Hearken to your God, 10 commandments, what he gave to us. Walking through your neighborhood, what Bibles, yeah, they stay with us. Famine in the land, see him sleeping, we gon' wake him up. Thus said the Lord, he coming to earth, he not gon' take him up. Try the spirit by the spirit.
Hey, how's everybody doing out there today? First and foremost, let me start off by saying all honor, all the glory, and all the praises are given to the Most High God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose name is Jesus. My name is Noel Barrett. I'm with the Israel Bible Study Institute, where our goals and our objectives is bring about biblical literacy to a biblical illiterate world through the reading of the uncut word of God. We read straight from the King James Version of the Bible. We leave a denominational beliefs at the door, and under no circumstances whatsoever do we do any interpreting the Bible. As I said, my name is Noel Barrett. This is another episode of Try the Spirit by the Spirit. And as always, we just jump right off into our lesson with the opening reading that comes from 1 John 4:1. It reads, Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they of God, because many of false prophets are gone into the world. And that, brothers and sisters, is the state of the world. Many of false prophets are gone out, have said many things, and this is one of the things that Jesus said, that you must take heed that no man that no man will deceive you. For many will come in my name saying that I am the Christ, and in doing that, they're going to deceive many of people. Well, this is the conclusion of our two-part series that deals with, well, it's entitled, Thou Shalt Sacrifice the Passover at Evening. And I ask, which evening? And in the last episode, which we're not going to go over, but last episode we went over a preponderance of evidence showing that they're depending on the context that the evening is used in, excuse me, it will determine what is being spoken of. And we had many examples of the evening being at the going down of the sun or the end of a particular day. But we're going to conclude that out by doing a rereading of the scriptures based upon this new information that we had, because like most people, I was under the assumption that every time that the word evening is being referred to, it is actually talking about the start of a new day. And based upon that, a lot of information was coming into conflict when we start reading different accounts. And that conflict was based upon the evening always being referred to the start of a new day. So, man, there's something wrong with this. I don't know what's going on. So with that, we went and found a bunch of scriptures that clearly read that the evening is also referring to the going down of the sun. And with that information in hand, now we're going to reread the scriptures. But before we do that, let me, I'm sorry, I'm fighting a cold. 1 minute it's hot, then the next minute it changed up being cold again. But here's an instructions that is going to govern our interaction with this case. It reads, brothers and sisters, you are now assembled not as participants in a discussion, but as finders of facts. This proceedings concern biblical claims. The evidence in this matter will come from a single source, the Holy Scriptures. The Bible is the record. The Bible is the evidence. No conclusion is authorized unless it is supported by what is written in the Bible. Accordingly, traditions, denominational creeds, church cultures, popular sayings, and personal opinions are excluded as evidence. Your duty is to hear the claim, examine the scriptures offered in support of those claims, and weigh only what is actually stated in the text. Assumptions, conjecture, speculations, and important meanings are not permitted and must be set aside. The burden of proof rests on whoever asserts a doctrine. No listener is required to accept a claim merely because it is confidently stated, emotionally preached, or widely repeated. If a claim is true, if a claim is true, it can be shown from the written record. You are instructed to deliberate in the manner of the Bereans, to receive what is presented with readiness of mind, and to search the scriptures daily to determine whether these things are so, as written in Acts 17:11. You must not reach a verdict mid-lesson. Suspend judgment until the full scripture evidence is presented, compared, and placed into record. At the conclusion of the evidence, you will render your findings according to what is written. Where scriptures speak, the findings may be rendered. Where scripture is silent, the court will not invent testimony. These scriptures are binding. They exist to ensure that our conclusions are grounded in scriptures only, proven by scriptures only, and tested by scriptures only. And that, brothers and sisters, is our instructions, our marching orders. So let's get off into this lesson with reading. We're going to start off in Exodus 12. We're going to start this off in Exodus 12. And we're going to begin at verse 1 and then do a little skipping after we get up in here. And it reads, and the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, and Moses spoke unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month should be unto you the beginning of months. It should be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they should take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. Let's skip on down to verse 6 and see what you're supposed to do with this lamb. And ye should keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in evening. Now, what evening is this that they're killing it on the 14th day? Is this the evening that starts the 14th day of the month? Or is this the evening at the going down of the sun for which the commandments are? Put a marker right here and let's go reread this. Let's go back. We're going to come to it again. Let's go to Deuteronomy 16. Deuteronomy 16, we're going to pick it up about verse 4. It says, and there shall be no leavened bread seen with thee in all thy coasts 7 days. Neither shall there anything of the flesh which thou sacrifice the first day at evening remain all night until the morning. So what evening is this? Is this the start of the 14th day, or is this the ending of the 14th day? Verse 5, thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Verse 6, but at the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at evening. What evening is this? Is this the start of the 14th day, or is this the ending of the 14th day? Well, let's let it tell you when it is. At the going down of the sun. See that, brother? At the going down of the sun on the 14th day is when you're supposed to sacrifice your lamb. Let's go back to Exodus 12 and pick it up at verse 6. It says, and you should keep it until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel should kill it in the evening. According to Deuteronomy 16:6, that evening is at the going down of the sun. But if we want to insist that it is the start of the 14th day, okay, let's keep on reading. But we clearly read out of scripture where it's at the going down of the sun on the 14th day. But let's keep on reading. Let's go verse 7. And they should take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper doorpost of the house, wherein they should eat it. And they should eat the flesh in that night. What night is this? Is this the nighttime portion of the 14th day? Or is this the nighttime portion of the 15th day? Now, Deuteronomy clearly says, Deuteronomy 16:6 clearly says you're supposed to sacrifice your lamb at evening at the going down of the sun. That's what the word says. But if you want to stay what you want to stay, let's keep on reading. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roasted with fire, his head with his legs, and with the petulance thereof. And you should let nothing of it remain until the morning. What morning is this? Is this the morning of the 14th day? Because you did the sacrifice at the start of the 14th day at evening? Or is this the morning of the 15th day because you did your sacrifice according to Deuteronomy 16:6 at the going down of the sun on the 14th day? And that which remaineth of it until the morning, ye shall burn it with fire. And you shall eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hands. And you shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night. What night is this night that he's going to pass through the land of Egypt? Is this the nighttime portion of the 14th day because you sacrificed your lamb at the start of the 14th day? Or is this the nighttime portion of the 15th day because they sacrificed their lamb according to Deuteronomy 16:6 at the going down of the sun on the 14th day? And I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. And the blood should be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague will not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Israel. And this day should be a memorial to you. What day? What day? We're referring to the day that he did these events. So is this the 14th day of the month? Because you sacrifice your lamb at the start of the month, at the start of the day, and then at nighttime, it was the nighttime portion of the 14th day? Or is this day the 15th day of the month? Because you sacrifice your lamb according to Deuteronomy 16:6 at the ending, at the going down of the 14th day. Let's keep on reading. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye should keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. And ye should keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. So, what are the ordinances of this feast, which is a memorial of the day that the Lord did all this stuff? If this day is the night, the 14th day, then this is supposed to be a memorial forever. But the ordinances involved in this is supposed to pertain forever. They didn't put blood on their doorposts every Passover. They did that only during that Passover. And that was during the nighttime portion of the 15th day, if they sacrificed their lamb according to Deuteronomy 16:6 at the going down of the sun. Let's keep on reading. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. 7 days, let's pay attention because this is very vital. 7 days you should eat unleavened bread. Not 3 days, not 2 days, not 8 days, and not 10 days. It says 7 days you should eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you should put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul should be cut off from Israel. So you're supposed to eat leavened bread 7 days. And in the first day, there should be a holy convocation. So on the first day of this 7-day period for which you're supposed to eat unleavened bread, which is a memorial of the day for which the Lord did all these events. On that first day, you're supposed to have a holy convocation. And in the 7th day, thou should have a holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done. Verse 7. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in the same self day, have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore ye shall observe this day. What day? The day that the Lord brought your families out of Egypt in all your generations for ordinance forever. Let's put a marker right here and let's find out what day that is that he brought the children of Israel out of Egypt. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1. It says, observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. What day is the Passover? The Passover is on the 14th day of the month. According to Deuteronomy 16:6, a few verses down, it says you're supposed to keep it, means you kill it at the going down of the sun. You're not supposed to kill it in the mid-afternoon. So that means you can't keep it in mid-afternoon. You can't keep it in the morning. I gave an example of a wedding. A person has a wedding on the 13th of March. Give out all the wedding anniversary, all the wedding invitations on the 13th of March. Now, when the 13th of March comes, the wedding invitation calls for the nuptials and all the rituals and the ordinances involved in a marriage to occur at 8:30 that night. Well, according to the way we keep track of time, the 13th of March came in at 12 o'clock that morning. But you're not performing your wedding vows and all the rituals and stuff that involves the wedding at 12 o'clock at night. Although 12 o'clock at night is your wedding day. That is the day of your wedding. But the actual ceremonial events pertaining to your wedding do not occur until the 8 o'clock. So now using that analogy right here, the 14th day, when the sun goes down on the 14th day, that starts the Passover, the day of Passover. But you don't sacrifice that Passover, according to Deuteronomy 16:6, until the sun is going down of that day. So when it says, observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover to the Lord thy God, you're keeping it at the going down of the sun on the 14th day. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. So what night was this that he brought them about out of Egypt? Let's go to Numbers 33. Numbers 33, and we're going to pick it up verse 3, just one verse. And they departed from Ramesses on the first month. On the morrow after No, excuse me. And they departed from Ramesses in the first month on the 15th day of the month. On the 15th day of the first month, they departed from Ramesses at night. So, and they departed from Ramesses in the first month on the 15th day of the month on the morrow after the Passover. So when the Passover is over with, the 14th day of the month is over with, when the sun is completely went down on the 14th day, now we're in the 15th day. They came out of Egypt on the 15th day at nighttime. Now with that, let's go back to Exodus 12 and pick it up at 17 again. Well, we're going to pick it up at 17, yeah. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in the same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Now, we need to highlight some things and show some things, because we're going to read a couple of things that's going to get us tangled up. And some things that we're finna read is going to tangle us up so much that, hey, I have no answer for it, but I'm going to bring it up. But this right here, verse 17, from verse 1 down to this point right here, he's telling Moses and Aaron what to tell the children of Israel. But yet when we read verse 17, it's stated as if this event has already occurred. It said, and ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this same day I have brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. But he's telling them all this at the beginning of their month. If you come back up here and you read verse 1, it said, and the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Then it says, speak ye unto the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of this month, you should take to them every man a lamb. So he's still getting in the instructions of what to tell the children of Israel on that first day. So when we read this down in the 17, he's telling them something that's happening in the future, but that hasn't happened yet, because Moses and Aaron has not even went to the children of Israel to tell them what the Lord has said. We have to remember this as we're reading down through here, because it's going to come out handy. It says, and this is where people get caught up right here too. And in the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at evening, what evening? At the start of the 14th day or at the end of the 14th day as the sun is going down? What's you supposed to do? You should eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. So what evening is this? Is it the start of the 21st day or is it the ending of the 21st day? It says 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul should be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. So let's put a mark right here and let's go investigate this. It says in the 14th day of the first month at evening, you're supposed to eat unleavened bread until the 21st day at evening. Now, if we start eating unleavened bread, or even take leavened bread at the start of the 14th day, well, we clearly read that the Passover is not supposed to be killed until the ending of the 14th day as the sun is going down. But if we take that the bread is supposed to be taken at the start of 14th day, so we take from evening to evening on the 14th day, that right there is going to be 1 day. When we get to the 21st day, at evening, if this is the start of the evening of the 21st day, which it has to be, because if you are not saying that it is the start of the 21st day, then you have to show me how you come to the conclusion that allow you to change the definition of a word mid-sentence. Because if we take it to be the start of the 14th day at evening, but then when it comes to the 21st day, we drop it down to the ending of the 21st day, I need to know how you're making that distinction, how you're making that change. But if you use it in that manner, then you have 8 days. You have 8 days that you're eating unleavened bread. But we're clearly reading, let's put a marker right here, and let's clearly read something. First, let's skip back up to 15. It says, 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. It's not even talking about the feast of unleavened bread yet. It's not even said nothing about it, because if you read the verse 4, it says, and this day shall be a memorial, be unto you for a memorial, and you should keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You should keep it an ordinance. You should keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. 7 days you should eat unleavened bread. If I'm starting eating unleavened bread at the start of the 14th day, and then I'm going to stop eating unleavened bread at the ending of the 14th day, of the 21st day, that's 8 days. But we clearly read right here, 7 days you should eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you should put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul should be cut off. Let's go to put a mark right here. Let's go to Exodus 13. Exodus 13 and verse 6. 7 days shall thou eat unleavened bread, and in the 7th day shall be a feast unto the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters. Let's skip on down to verse 10. Thou shalt therefore keep this an ordinance in his season from year to year. And what is that? Eating unleavened bread for 7 days. Let's go to Numbers 28. Numbers chapter 28. We're going to read verse 16. Numbers 28, verse 16. And in the 14th day of the first month is the Passover of the Lord. And in the 15th day of this month is the feast. 7 days, it says the feast. 7 days shall unleavened bread be eaten. 7 days shall unleavened bread be eaten. And the first day shall be a holy convocation. You should do no manner of servile work therein. Let's skip on down to verse 24. Verse 24. After this manner you should offer daily throughout the 7 days, the meat of the sacrifice by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord. It should be offered besides the continual burnt offering and his drink offering. And on the 7th day, you shall have a holy convocation. You should do no servile work. 7 days. 7 days. Let's go to Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23. And started at verse 15. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath day. That's wrong. That is wrong. That's wrong. That's Pentecost. I don't know why I got that in there. Oh, it's okay. Exodus. I'm supposed to be in Exodus 23. Exodus 23 and 15. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days. 7 days, as I commanded thee in the time appointed in the month of Abib. For in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before the Lord empty-handed. 7 days you're supposed to eat unleavened bread. Now we go to Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23:6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. 7 days. Multiple places where it clearly reads 7 days. So now then, let's go back to Exodus 12, and we're going to pick it up at, no, I got some more places. I forgot about that. I read Numbers 28 and 18. Let's go to Ezekiel. I forgot about Ezekiel. Let's go to Ezekiel 45. Ezekiel 45 and verse 21. In the first month, in the 14th day of the month, you should have the Passover, a feast of 7 days. You should have the Passover, a feast for 7 days. What is that talking about? If the Passover is on the 14th day and unleavened bread is on the 15th day. If we starting our feast of unleavened bread on the Passover, and we're doing it from the 14th, at the start of the 14th to the ending of the 14th, then we're eating unleavened bread for 8 days. We can't read nowhere where it says 18 days. We can lean on our own understanding, which is prohibited. We can lean on our own understanding. Let's go to Deuteronomy 16. Deuteronomy 16 and verse 4. Deuteronomy 16 and verse 4. There should be no leavened bread seen with thee and all thy coasts 7 days. Neither shall there anything of the flesh of the sacrifice that which thou sacrificed the first day at evening. What evening is this that they made this sacrifice? Is this evening that they made the sacrifice the start of the 14th day? Or is this evening that they made the sacrifice the ending of the 14th day at the going down of the sun, which we're fixing to read? Remain all night until the morning. What night is this? Is this the nighttime portion of the 14th day? Going into the morning of the 15th? Going into the morning of the 14th? Or is this the nighttime portion of the 15th going into the morning of the 15th? Then it says, thou may not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee. But at the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name in, there shalt thou sacrifice the Passover at evening, at the going down of the sun. So if the sun is going down on the 14th day and you begin to do your sacrifice at that point in time, then we're starting to count at the going down of the sun. Let's go back to Exodus 12. Multiple places we read multiple times where it clearly says 7 days. 7 days. You can assume, you can speculate, we can lean on our own understanding to come up with a number other than 7. But based upon what we clearly read, we read 7 days. So this lets me know, let's go to Exodus 16 and verse 17. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this self same day I have brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore ye shall observe this day in your generations by ordinance forever. In the first day, in the first month, on the 14th day of the month at evening, based upon what we've read, I could only come to the conclusion that this evening right here on the 14th day is at the going down of the sun on the 14th day. Ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening, at the going down of the sun on the 21st day. Now, based upon that, I get 7 days. 7 days is what I've been reading about all day long. But if I want to put this evening right here on the 14th day as being the start of the 14th day, then when I start the 14th day, I got all night 14th, all the daylight hours of the 14th, all night of the 15th, all daylight hours of the 15th, all night of the 16th, all daylight hours of the 16th, all night of the 17th, all daylight hours of the 17th, all night of the 18th, all daylight hours of the 18th, all night of the 19th, all daylight hours of the 19th, all night of the 20th, and all daylight hours of the 20th. That's 7 days right there. That's 7 days right there. At the going down of the sun on the 20th day, if I started at the beginning of the 14th, I have 7 days on the 20th day. Because it clearly says at the evening of the 21st day. Now, if you're going to say that this evening of the 21st day is not the start of the 21st day, but it's actually the ending of the 21st day, then I have 8 days. But then I have to ask the question, how are you making this change mid-sentence to allow that the evening on the 14th day is the start of the 14th day, but when I get to the 21st day, you are changing that definition to being the ending of the 21st day. That's what somebody has to reconcile for me. But let's keep on reading this. 19. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, not 8, but 7. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul should be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be stranger or homeborn. And you should eat nothing leavened in all your habitations, shall you eat unleavened bread. So after God told Moses all this stuff to tell the children of Israel, then Moses goes and tells the children of Israel what God told him to tell them. We're not on the 14th day. This is the first day. He didn't wait 14 days to go tell these people. At the minimum, he had to wait 10 days because he had to tell them they had to take a lamb and put it up on the 10th day to do their sacrifice on the 14th day. So he immediately told them what he was told by God. So we're still on the first day of the first month of Abib when God said, tell the children of Israel, this day will be the first day of months for you. Tell them all this stuff right here. So now it says, verse 21, then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover. Now, individuals try to tell me that this is happening right now. How can you draw out your lamb on the 14th day when it clearly reads up here in verse 3? Let's go back to verse 3. He says, speak ye unto the congregation of Israel, saying, and he's telling them this on the first day. It says, verse 2, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year for you. So he's telling them this on the first day of the first month for them. Speak you unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, on the 10th day of the month, this month, they should take to them every man and lamb according to the house of their fathers, according to the lambs to the house. On the 10th day is when they're supposed to take this lamb out, right? And then skip on down to verse 6. And you should keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. So they take the lamb out, put it up until the 14th day of the month, and then kill it. That's what God told him to tell the people. Now he's telling the people what God told him to tell them, and he's telling them, then, verse 21, then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out a lamb, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover. They're not killing the Passover now. He's giving them some instructions of what to do. Excuse me. Verse 22. And ye should take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin and strike the lintels and the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the bison, and none of you shall go out of at the door of his house until the morning. Okay, and here's a sticking point that an individual brought up to me, and I can't deny it. It says you're supposed to stay in your house until the morning. What morning is this? Is this the morning of the 14th day, the daylight hours, or is this the morning of the 15th day? We're going to come back and deal with this because it has to be dealt with. But we're going to use scriptures to show something. We're not going to use assumptions. And he's telling them, for the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he sees the blood upon the lintels and on the 2 side posts, the Lord will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. And ye shall observe this thing for ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. And it shall come to pass when ye come into the land which the Lord will give you according to the according as he has promised, that ye shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass when your children shall say unto you, what ye mean by this service? That ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the house of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses, and the people bowed their head and worshiped. And the children of Israel went away and did as Moses commanded, as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron so to do. So what did they do? Did they go and sacrifice a lamb right then and there? Or did they go and draw them out a lamb on the 10th day, which is a couple of days later? They went out and got them a lamb, put it up until put it up on the 10th day and sacrificed it on the 14th day, because verse 29 clearly says, and it came to pass that at midnight, so it's compressing a bunch of stuff. All this stuff is in the chronological order, but it's compressing a whole bunch of, if we had every single step-by-step detail in the narration, we have something way bigger than what we have now as far as the Bible. So you have to use logic and reason according to what is written in the scriptures. And it came to pass that at midnight, what midnight? The middle of the 14th night or the middle of the 15th night? If it's the middle of the 14th night, it's because you sacrificed the lamb at the start of the 14th. If it's middle of the 15th night, it's because you sacrificed the lamb at the start, at the going down of the sun on the 15th day. Now then, when Ezekiel called it the feast of the Passover. So if you sacrificing your lamb at the start of at the going down of the sun on the 15th day, you automatically merge and straight up into the 15th day. And I'm going to show you how many animals they were sacrificing, that by the time that they got finished with sacrificing those animals, starting at the 15th day, at the sun going, starting at the 14th day, as the sun is going down, by the time they got finished with all those sacrifices, they had to clearly have been in the 15th day. I'm going to show you that. So, verse 30, and Pharaoh rose in the night, and he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night. What night is this that he's calling them? Is this the nighttime portion of the 14th day, because you started your sacrifice at the start of the 14th day? Or is this the nighttime portion of the 15th day, because you started your sacrifice according to Deuteronomy 16:6 at the going down of the sun on the 14th day? So he said, get thee out from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go serve your Lord as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds as ye have said, and be gone and bless me. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. Now, here's where the conflict comes in at, that the individual highlighted to me, and it's true. But based upon this conflict, they're putting this event on a whole nother day. And we're going to show why that can't be. But this urgency, the Egyptians didn't know whether or not this stuff was over with. All they know, every single house had a dead body in it. And Moses already told them, and we're going to read about this in chapter 11. Moses already told them, man, the Lord going to come through here smoking all y'all game at midnight. Now, midnight came, and the Lord came through there and smoked all their game. And Pharaoh was calling them, talking about, get up out of here. But they can't come out their house until the morning. They can't come out their house until the morning. That is a sticking point, and I acknowledge that it's a sticking point. So, but based upon what this individual is telling me, that if this is the 15th day at nighttime that this event happened, they're not supposed to come out of their house until the morning time of the 15th day. So this individual is saying that this couldn't be the case because they left on the 15th day at nighttime. So that pushes this, according to that, back to the 14th day at the going down of the sun. But with that, you have another problem, because if this is the 14th day at nighttime, midnight, the death angels came through there and killed all the firstborn of the Egyptians, then what? They urgent for them to get out of there, but they can't go. These Egyptians, or these Israelites, can't leave their house until the morning portion of the 14th day. So then when the morning portion of the 14th day still comes, they still got to wait until the sun goes down on the 14th day. That's not urgency. That's not, that man, get up out of here type of behavior. Then we're going to read about how they did not leaven because they were thrust out of Egypt too fast for they leaven to rise. But yes, this is a sticking point. But we have to reconcile that with all the scriptures that we're going to read that clearly shows about the sacrifice occurring at nighttime. Number one, we already read, if you're starting this, if this is your proof that the sacrifice occurred at nighttime at the beginning of the 14th day, then what we read in verse 18 about the 14th day from evening until the evening of the 21st day is 8 days. It's 8 days. And if we stay with what the scripture says from the beginning of the 14th day to the beginning of the 21st day, because that's evening, then you're only having 7 days. And the last day that you're eating unleavened bread is on the 20th day. That don't add up. Although that is a sticking spot, yes. But that does not negate the fact that Deuteronomy 16:6 clearly says at evening, at the going down of the sun. You can only have one going down of the sun in one day. I can't get past that. That's a sticking point too. So in order for individuals to use this right here to stay in your house until daytime to prove that the sacrifice occurred at the night, at the start of the 14th, you have to get rid of Deuteronomy 16:6. Then all these other verses that clearly says 7. Then you got to get rid of Exodus 12:18, where it says from the 14th day at evening to the 21st day at evening. You got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of that. You got to account for that. I don't have to account for this. Why they came out, I'm not going to speculate. But I know that they had to come out their house. So let's keep on reading. Where we at? Let's go to verse 11. Let's go to keep on reading. 34. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading boards being bound in their clothes upon their shoulders. Now, if a person is hard pressed to say that they didn't do this until the nighttime portion of the 15th day, because they were still in their house on the 14th day, then they stayed in the house all that daytime. The Egyptians are standing banging on their door. Come on, get up out of here, get up out of here. But they refused to leave their house until, come on, man, that is confusing as hell to me. 35. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiments. And it says, and the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men, besides the children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even every very much cattle. And they baked unleavened cakes of dough, which they brought forth out of Egypt. For it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victuals. This don't sound like an event that occurred 12 hours after the fact, because if they didn't come out their house until the daylight portion on the 14th day, then they're not being thrust out, and there's 12 hours in a day. You can clearly read that in John 11:9, where Jesus said, are there not 12 hours in a day? So by the time they get to the nighttime portion of the 15th day, they're leaving, but they didn't have time for their dough to rise. They didn't have time to get them anything else. That doesn't add up with the scriptures. Even though it says that they get, I don't know why it says that. But to accept that is to reject all this. To reject that, I'm not saying that I'm rejecting that, but I'm saying in order for me to accept that, I don't know, maybe they were disobedient. They always been disobedient. I can't say that when they got into the wilderness and they created that, before they even crossed the Red Sea, they were bucking against Moses. So why, how did that happen? I can't say. But what I can say is that right there cannot neutralize this. If that neutralizes this, then you have a whole sequence of verses in the scriptures that we have been with abundance of evidence that has to be neutralized. Verse 40. It says, now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in the land of Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass that at the end of the 430 years, even the same day, it came to pass that all the hosts of the Lord went out from Egypt, went out from the land of Egypt. When did they come out? At nighttime. That's what Deuteronomy 16:1 clearly says. And what nighttime was that? Numbers 33:3 clearly says the 15th day. And right here, verse 42 says, it is a night to be much remembered, to be much observed unto the Lord for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. This is that night of the Lord to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generations. Now then, let's go to the gospel account. Let's skip to Jesus. Remember, according to what we read, the lamb is supposed to be sacrificed at the going down of the sun. At the going down of the sun on the 14th day of the month. This is the instructions that he's given them as they fix to go into the promised land. So this is the statute that's governing all their behavior while they're in the promised land. So we're going to go to Matthew 26 when Jesus is on the scene. This is the commandment. This is the ordinances that's governing them. Verse 17. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, which is what? The 15th day of the first month. The disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? Wait a second. The Passover is on the 14th day of the first month. Now I want us to pay attention. He called it the Passover, but he could call it whatever he wants. But according to the law, you cannot eat your Passover lamb or sacrifice it, according to Deuteronomy 16:5, in any location. You can only do it at the place where the Lord has put his name, and you're supposed to do it at the going down of the sun on the 14th day. So then, Jesus tells him, and he said, go into the city to such a man, and say unto him, the master said, my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with thy disciples. That is not the ordinance. The ordinance is that you keep the Passover at the location where the Lord has put his name, at the going down of the sun. This right here is clearly before the 14th day has even began. So if he's calling the Passover, we're going to show you there's some stuff that's going on. And his disciples did as Jesus had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. They made ready the Passover. Well, you're making ready the Passover on the 10th day of the month, because that's when you put your lamb up. That is the beginning of your preparation to sacrifice this Passover on the 14th day at evening at the going down of the sun. So there's no problem with them going and making ready the Passover. There's no problem with them going ready to make sure that the room is straightened out. We have people right now at our class who's making ready for the Passover. They're at the class, cleaning up the class, getting the ornaments and stuff out of the storage and getting it ready. They don't just do that at the nighttime portion of the 14th day or at the beginning of the 15th day. This is a process that's been going on for several weeks. So how come there's a conflict now when they're making ready the Passover before the 14th days even came? They're making ready the Passover. They started on the 10th day when they put their lamb up. But let's keep on reading. Now when it was evening, he sat down with the 12. Now, let's put a marker right here. And let's go read some scriptures. Now, if I accept that Jesus killed this Passover lamb, or had his disciples kill this Passover lamb outside of the location for where the law said that you're supposed to kill it at a particular time other than what the law says you're supposed to keep it at, then that means if this is if this Passover that he's talking about, he's sitting down eating with his disciples, if a person want to say that that is a sacrificial lamb, then Jesus engaged in some sin. I know people want to say things and stop, but the logical conclusion of your statement, when you keep on rolling past and get to its finality, that is the law. Let's read that. The law that's governing their Passover activity at that time stands from Deuteronomy 16 and verse 5. It says, thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates. He's telling them this prior to them going into the promised land. So this is the controlling statute that's dealing with the Passover. You're not supposed to sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee. So where are you supposed to sacrifice the Passover? But at the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover. So you're supposed to sacrifice the Passover at the place where the Lord should choose to put his name. Did the Lord put his name on the house of that man who they seen with a picture, who they asked, where's the guest chamber? Or did he put his name on that temple? And then he tells you at what point in time you're supposed to do it. Can you do it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Can you do it at 3:30 in the morning? Can you do it at 9:30 in the morning? Can you do it at 3 in the afternoon? He tells you specifically, thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at evening, at the going down of the sun. That is the controlling statute that is in effect when Jesus commanded his disciples to make ready the Passover. So now then, if this Passover that Jesus told his disciples to make ready is the sacrificial lamb that people say it is, then Jesus engaged in some activity that violated a clear, established, he doesn't get qualified immunity in this because he knew the law. And let's go read that. Let's go read this. Let's put a marker here. We're going to come back. Let's go to 1 John. Let's go to 1 John. 1 John, verse 3. We're going to pick it up at chapter 3, verse 4. Whosoever committed sin transgresses also the law. So what does that mean? For sin is the transgression of the law. Sin is the transgression of the law. Sin is the breaking of the law. Verse 5. And ye know that he was manifested to take away our sins. What is our sins? That we broke the law. And in him is no sin. What does that mean? He didn't break the law. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. Let's go to 2 Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 21. For he has made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. He knew no sin. Let's go to 1 Peter. Let's go to 1 Peter, chapter 2, verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his footsteps, who did no sin. What is sin? The transgression of the law. Neither was there guile found in his mouth. Let's go to Hebrews. Let's go to Hebrews. We're going to multiple places. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 4 and pick it up at verse 14. Seeing that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Jesus, the Son of Man, let us hold fast to our profession. For we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities. So because he experienced everything that flesh and blood experienced when he was in the flesh and blood. But was in all points tempted like as we are. He was tempted just like we were. We read about that temptation in the desert, in the wilderness, when Satan came to tempt him. Yet without sin, meaning that he committed no sin, meaning that he kept every aspect of the law. Let's go to Galatians 4. Galatians 4. We're going to read one verse. But when the fullness of the time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman under the law. He was born a flesh and blood man, and he was subjected to the law of the land that he was living in as a flesh and blood man. And at no time did he break any one of those laws. Let's go to 2 Philippians 2. Let's go to Philippians 2 and pick it up at verse 5. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God thought not robbery to be equal with God, but made of himself no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, was made in the likeness of a man. So once he came in the form of a man, in which we told in John 1 and 14, that the word became flesh, and being found and fashioned as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death. He was obedient to what? He was obedient to the law until the very moment he died, even the death of the cross. Let's go to that's showing his obedience from day one. Let's go to Luke. Let's go to Luke chapter 2, verse 21. After he was born, he wasn't even named Jesus, because according to the law, some events has to happen. And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcision of the child, his name was called Jesus. So even at the beginning of his earthly name at Jesus, he was made of a woman under the law of the land. He was circumcised at the age of 8 days old. He did no sin. So now with that, we go back to Matthew's. Let's go back to Matthew's 26. Matthew's 26 and verse 20. Now, if a person want to tell me that when he sat down, when the evening was come, and when this evening is the start of the 14th day, the beginning of the 14th day, when he sat down and eat with the disciples at this point in time right here, and what he's eating is the sacrificial lamb that's supposed to be killed at the nighttime, at the going down of the 14th day, then he committed sin because he killed it. He had his disciples kill it in a location for which the law clearly says you're not supposed to do. And he did it at a particular time outside when the law said he was supposed to do. And if that is the case, then all those verses that I read has to be taken out of the Bible. That is where the logical conclusion terminates at if a person wants to say that he sat down and ate the sacrificed lamb right then and there. You can't get past that. And if you want to say that he has a qualified immunity or some exemption from the law, then you need to give me the verse that shows that exemption from the law that neutralized all the verses that we clearly read that he was subjugated to the law. Let's keep on reading. Let's skip on down to 26. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread. Eating what? Eating what? I can't read nowhere where he's eating the Passover lamb. Yeah, they call it the Passover. But if you want to be insistent that that means that he was eating the Passover lamb, then that means that he committed sin. So what are you going to stand on? So as he took bread, that's the only thing we could read about that he ate was bread, and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and he gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, drink ye all of it. For this is the blood of the New Testament, which is shed for the remission of many, for the remission of sins. You see that? But when is this happening? This isn't not happening at the going down of the sun on the 14th day. This is happening at the nighttime portion of the 14th day. Let's keep on reading. Let's go to Mark 14. Mark 14 and 12. Mark 14 and verse 12. And the first day of the unleavened bread. When is the first day of unleavened bread? The nighttime of the 15th day. When they killed the Passover. So they killed the Passover at the nighttime portion of the 14th day. And his disciples said unto him, where wilt thou that we go and prepare that thou might eat as a Passover? So what we're talking about is something that is compressed in time, because they haven't even prepared the Passover yet. But if they can prepare the Passover, and then if the person actually sacrificed the Passover at the going down of the sun on the 14th day, that's going to run you clear into the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the nighttime portion for which you're supposed to eat your unleavened bread. Let's read something. Put a marker right here. We're going to come back. Let's go to Chronicles. Let's go to 2 Chronicles. 2 Chronicles, chapter 35. We're going to pick up verse 7. And Josiah gave to the people of the flocks and lambs and kids all of the Passover offerings for all that were present, to the number of 30,000 and 3,000 bullocks. These were of the king's subjects. So the king donated 33,000 animals to be sacrificed at the Passover, at the going down of the sun. And his princes gave willingly unto the people, to the priests, and to the Levites, Hilkiah and Zechariah and Jehiel, rulers of the house of God, gave unto the priests for the Passover offering 2,600 small oxen and 300 small cattle and 300 oxen. So now you're looking at 35,000 animals that these individuals gave themselves. And Conaniah also, and Mishael, and Nathaniel, his brother, and Hashabiah, and Jahiel, and Josabad, chief of the Levites, gave unto the Levites for the Passover offering 5,000 small cattle and 500 oxen. So now we have a combined total from them individuals themselves of over 40,000 individual animals that had to be sacrificed on the 14th day at the going down of the sun. You see that? By the time that they get through sacrificing those animals, we're already in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We're already in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. By the time that they sacrifice 10,000 animals, we're already in and we're not talking about people who had to bring their own animals. We're talking about some numbers that we could readily identify of some animals that had to be sacrificed on the 14th day at the going down of the sun. The sun only goes down one time in a day. And when that sun is completely down, then we into a new day. And there's no way possible in that time or this time for individuals to do that sacrifice within the amount of time that is still considered the 14th day if they start sacrificing at the going down of the sun. So this clearly puts this event into the day of Passover. So when we look at the speaking of how these people are speaking years later, we can understand that they're not talking about, because if you're talking about at the start of the 14th day, then you have all of the 14th day, then you have all of the nighttime portion of the 14th, then all of the daytime portion of the 14th, and then you eat unleavened bread. You can't make that fit with the verbiage that you using at all. At all, you can't make that fit. That's a 24-hour window of time. 24-hour window of time versus a 2 or 3 hour window of time. Let's go back, man. Going back to Mark. Mark 14 and 12. Mark 14. And then you can read about Ezra 6 and 19, where Hezekiah did, and Hezekiah, and he did the same thing with a whole bunch of animals. And 2 Chronicles 30 and about 26, 25, somewhere up in there. Mark 16 and 12. And the first day of unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover, if the first day of unleavened bread, they killed, if the Passover was killed at the start of the 14th day, and unleavened bread is the start of the 15th day, that's hard to make this statement even sound remotely true. But if the Passover is killed at the going down of the sun on the 14th day, and the Feast of Unleavened Bread is once that same sun has went down, that fits. You're talking about a small window of difference. So it says, and the first day of unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover, his disciples said unto him, where wilt thou that we go and prepare that thou mayest eat the Passover? And he sent forth 2 of his disciples and said unto them, go ye into the city, and there shall meet you a man bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him. It's not adding up. Okay. Let me mark some of this stuff because I'm losing myself. And wheresoever he shall go in, say ye to the good man of the house, the master says, where is the guest chamber where I should eat the Passover with my disciples? So he's telling his disciples, where this man goes into his house, that's where he's going to eat his Passover. So what? They're going to go to the feast of the Passover when they sacrificing these lambs. They don't even add it. Let's just say they sacrifice a lamb at the start of 14. So they go get some meat from the sacrificial lamb at the temple, because that's where the lamb has to be sacrificed. Bring it back to this house for him to eat it. But we clearly read that they don't sacrifice that lamb until the sun is going down. Jesus is already eating the Passover, or eating what he called the Passover, with his disciples way before the sun even went down on the 14th day. The sun went down on the 13th day already. Verse 15. And he will show you a large upper room, furnished and prepared. There make ready for us. And his disciples went forth and came into the city and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover. What does that mean, make ready the Passover? What does that mean? It doesn't mean that you're lining up the animal, getting ready to slaughter it. You start making ready the Passover on the 10th day. Making ready the Passover means people at our church right now is making ready for the Passover, which is going to happen 4 days from now. They're making ready the Passover. They're preparing for the event to occur. Let's skip on down to keep on reading. And in the evening he cometh to the 12. What evening is this? Is this the evening of the 14th day that starts the 14th day, or is this the evening with the 14th day of the sun going down? Let's find out. Let's find out what evening this is. Let's keep on reading. Let's go to Luke 22. Luke 22, verse 7. Luke 22, verse 7. Then came the day of unleavened bread. What day is that? The 15th day of the first month, when the Passover must be killed. When does the Passover have to be killed? On the 14th day at evening, at the going down of the sun. Now, if you're saying that you're sacrificing this Passover lamb at the start of the 14th day, and the text clearly says that it has to be killed at the going down of the sun, then you sacrifice that lamb on the 13th day, because it clearly says at the going down of the sun. The sun can only go down one time in one day. When they must kill the Passover. It is not an option. And when must you kill it? You can't kill it on the 14th day at 12 o'clock high noon. You can't kill the Passover at 6:30 in the morning. It has to be at evening, at the going down of the sun. And he sent Peter and John, saying, go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat. Wait a second. I thought we were already in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Keep on. And they said unto him, wherewithal we prepared. And then he told them to do everything that we read about in Matthew and in Mark. Verse 14. And when the hour was come, he sat down with the 12 apostles with him. What time is this? It said at the evening. What evening is this? Is this the evening that starts the beginning of the 14th day? Or is this the evening that ends the 14th day? And he said unto them, with desire I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. Now, if this is the Passover for which is supposed to be sacrificed at the going down on the 14th day, if a person wants to say that, then he's in violation because he did it at his house. The law clearly says to do it at the location where he put his name. If that is the case, then he committed sin. And if that is the case, then all those verses that I read that clearly said that he knew no sin has to be eliminated. This is the logical termination point that that statement and that belief leads to. If you want to believe that at the start of the 14th day is when Jesus sat down and ate the sacrificed lamb with his disciples, then that's the conclusion of that when you keep on going. You can't stop where you want to stop. You got to stop where you're forced to stop at. Verse 16. For I say unto you, I will not any more eat thereof until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of God. Eat thereof of what? Eat thereof of what? So you telling me this Passover that he's referring to right now, that he's not going to eat of it anymore, is the sacrificial lamb, which we can't read no lamb. All we can read is the word Passover, and based upon that, we assume that he's talking about a lamb. Then are you saying that he's not going to eat this sacrificial lamb no more until it all be fulfilled in the kingdom of the Father, and then he's going to eat the lamb then? If that's the case, then you have to get rid of the fact that there's no flesh and blood or no killing in the Father's kingdom no more. Because in order for him to eat a sacrificed lamb again in the Father's kingdom, that means you have to kill a lamb in the Father's kingdom. So then we got to get rid of those verses that talk about there will be no more harm or hurting or killing in my kingdom, the Father's kingdom. You see how much stuff you have to tear away from the scriptures when you believe that the Passover starts at the beginning of, yes, the day of the Passover, just like your wedding begins on the 14th day. But you don't get involved or engaged in your wedding activity until the 8 o'clock that night. That's when the preacher is going to come and give the nuptials and everything. Yes, the 14th day is your wedding anniversary. But you didn't commit your vows until later on that day. Yes, the 14th day starts at evening, but they were not supposed to engage, according to Deuteronomy 16:6. The clear, uncut, unambiguous word of God says at evening, at the going down of the sun. That's no interpretation. That's book. So if you want to put this Passover anywhere other than where God says to put it at, and you do it anywhere other than where God says to do it at, then that is sin. That's book. That's scripture. That's not leaning on my own understanding. Verse 17, and he took the cup and gave thanks and said, take this and divide it amongst yourself. For I say unto you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God shall come. So he's not going to engage in this activity again until the kingdom of the Father should come. So if you're talking about a sacrificial lamb, then you're talking about he's going to engage in a sacrificing of some lambs in the Father's kingdom. You may not want to go there, but that's where that road leads to. And he took the bread and gave thanks and brake it and gave it unto them, saying, this is my body, which is given for you. This do in remembrance of me. This you do in remembrance of me. You redoing this, you're remembering me. Remember what about you? We're going to find out. Likewise, also, the cup of the supper, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood, which is shed for you. See that? Let's go to John 18. Now, after that, Judas went out and got the priests, guards that came back and got Jesus as his disciples was trying to sleep off all that food that they done ate. They went to took Jesus by trial at night, and then in the morning they did something. Let's go to John 18 and 28. So after that night is over with, which is the nighttime portion of the 14th day. Now we are in the daylight portion of the 14th day. I'm going to prove this to you. Now we're in the daylight portion of the 14th day. It says, then led they Jesus from Caiaphas unto the hall of judgment. And it was early. Other scriptures, other verses, other gospel writers says it was in the morning. So now we're in the daylight portion of the 14th day. And they themselves went not into the judgment hall. Why didn't they go into the judgment hall? These they should be defiled. So what? But that they might eat the Passover. Wait a second. So this is showing a level of anticipating of eating the Passover sometime after this point right here, which is clearly the daylight portion, of the 14th day, right? But we clearly read in multiple places that if you sacrifice the lamb, if they sacrifice that lamb at the start of the 14th day, they ate. None of that lamb is supposed to be around right now. None of that lamb is supposed to be around right now when they went into the judgment hall. And whatever lamb that they have that's right now that they're going to eat later on will be a violation of the law, because the law clearly said that you're supposed to burn anything that remains in the morning. Nothing should be left in the morning. We're in the morning now. They in the judgment hall, but they didn't go in because they wanted to eat the Passover some point in time after this. So if you're saying that the Passover was sacrificed that night at the start of the 14th, but they're saying that they want to eat it, which according to Deuteronomy 16:6 is supposed to be killed later on that day. Come on, what you're saying is not adding up with what the scripture is saying. Try the spirit by the spirit. Let's keep on. Let's verify for a fact that this is the daylight hours of the 14th day. This is that the pilot had then examined Jesus and said, I find no evil in him. And he'd been trying to get rid of Jesus, so he washed his hands because he don't want no dealing with it. But ye have a custom that I shall release one unto you at the Passover. The Passover, this is the Passover, the daylight portion of the 14th day of the month. But ye have a custom that I should release one unto you at the Passover. Will ye therefore that I release unto you the King of the Jews? He's clearly saying that this is the daylight portion of the Passover. They didn't want to go into the judgment hall at the start of the daylight portion of the Passover because they wanted to eat the Passover when it was killed at the going down of this part of the day right here, according to the law of the land. Deuteronomy 16:6 clearly says, at evening, at the going down of the sun. I can't get around that at all. And based on all the verses that we read in conjunction with that, that solidifies that. Now then, let's go read something else about the law. Let's go read something else about the law. Let's go to Deuteronomy, because Peter called it a more sure word of prophecy. He said that in 2 Peter 1, I believe. Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 22. And if a man have committed a sin worthy of death, and he be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree, his body should not remain all night upon the tree. But thou shalt in any wise, that's necessity, that is haste, thou shalt any wise bury him that day. What day? The day that he's hung on a tree. Before that day goes out, you're supposed to bury him that day. For if he that is a Cain is a curse to God. And the reason why you're supposed to bury him that day, it didn't just say the Sabbath day. It said any day, that day that you hang an individual from a tree, You're supposed to get his body off that tree before that day is over with. And if you don't, it says that thy land be defiled, which the Lord thy God has given thee for an inheritance. So the law of the land at the time that they're in their land is that if anybody is hung from a tree, you have to get their body off of that tree before the sun goes down to start a new day. That is the law of the land. Now then, let's go to Mark 15. We got two more places after this. Please bear with me. Mark 15. Now, taking the law and reading that, what happened when Jesus died. Let's go to Mark 15 and verse 42. Well, let me go. Okay, verse 37. Let me start to put context. And Jesus cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost. He died. So he's on the cross during the daylight portion of the 14th day. Now let's skip on down to 42. Now when the evening was come, what evening is this that came? Is coming? Is this the start of a new day? Or is this the going down of the sun on the 14th day? Don't start switching up now. If it's the start, because everything has been predicated on the start of the 14th day. Now, if this is the start of a new day, now we in the 15th day of the month. And if we're in the 15th day of the month, their land is defiled now. So it don't matter that they didn't want to defile themselves by going to the judgment hall. The land is defiled now because you left a body on the cross until the next day. That's law. If that evening right there is the start of a new day. But if this evening right here is the beginning, as the going down of the sun on the 15th day, on the 14th day, then that not only satisfy the law, but that coincides with the time frame for which they're supposed to do the animal sacrifices. And since we're going to read what he has to do with the animal sacrifices, because the animal sacrifices has to occur on a 16, Deuteronomy 16 and 6 says, at the going down of the sun on the 14th day. Now then, let's go one more place after this. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. Now this is past that. It says, purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us. When was he sacrificed? When they took his body. Yes, he died on that cross, but they put him in that grave at the going down of the sun on the 14th day of the month, which coincide with God's Passover of the sacrificial lambs at the going down of the sun on the 14th day. Therefore, let us keep the feast. What feast? Keep what feast? Not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and with wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. So this feast that is referred to is the feast of unleavened bread, which occurred as soon as the sun went down. That is when they supposed to not, I ain't gonna go down that rabbit hole. So, last place. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23. For I have received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you. So what I'm telling you is what the Lord told me, that the Lord Jesus, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. What night is this? It's a nighttime portion of the 14th day of the month. He took bread. It didn't say nothing about a lamb. It said he took bread. He took bread. I can read that. for me to assume that he took lamb simply because he called it the Passover, by me making that assumption, then I have to keep on going along with that assumption, and it shows that he committed sin. And if that's the case, all those verses where I read where it clearly states that he did not commit sin has to be taken out the Bible. So on the night that he was betrayed, it was at the nighttime portion of the 14th day. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, "Take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me." Do what? What is this supposed to be a reminder of? What is taking this bread reminds me of you about? About how you walked on water? About how you healed the sick? What is this supposed to remind me of when I break this bread and eat it? After the same manner also, he took the cup. He took the cup when he had supped, saying, "This is the cup, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. Do ye as often as you drink it in remembrance of me." What are we talking about? What are we remembering him about? When is this? And when did we do it? Well, we do it on the day that he's saying to do it. And what day is that? At the nighttime portion of the 14th day of the month. But what is this a remembrance of? When I drink this wine and I'm taking this bread at the time that he did it, what is this going to remind me of? Last verse. For as often as you eat this bread, and when we eat this bread, and this bread is unleavened bread, because he said, let us eat it without leaven. This bread is mandatory on the 14th day at the going down of the sun. Jesus took it and extended it to the beginning of the 14th day because he's not going to be able to eat it with them because he is our sacrificial lamb. So when I eat this bread and drink this cup, I do show the Lord's birth till he comes. It don't say that. I do show the Lord's resurrection till he comes. It don't say that. It said you do show the Lord's rapturing us off until he comes. It don't say that. So when Jesus said, eat this, and in remembrance of me, drink this in remembrance of me. When we taking this bread and we taking this wine, what it does is it gives us the remembrance that we do show the Lord's death. We do show the Lord's death till he comes. You see that? We show it by taking the bread and taking the wine. We're showing the Lord's death. And when did the Lord die? He died at the going down of the sun on the 14th day of the month at evening, which coincided with, well, that's when he was put in the grave. That's when he was put in the grave, which coincides with the time that we were supposed to do the Lord's sacrificial lamb. You see that? So what all this has to do is that for me to say that the reason why I take the Lord's Passover and I take the wine and the bread is because that is when the lamb was sacrificed. It's false, according to the scriptures. The lamb was not sacrificed until later on that night. Later on. They started at the beginning, at the going down of the sun of that day. The reason why I take the Passover, the bread and the wine, at the time that I take it, which is at the start of the 14th day at nighttime, is because that's when Jesus took it. Now, other brothers want to take that and put it onto taking it at evening when the sun is going down, that's cool. But I can't stand in front of the Lord and he asked me why I take it there without having to explain other things that I'm not reading. But if he asked me why I took the bread and the wine at the beginning of the 14th day, when it's dark, I can read it to him because this is what Jesus did. So with that, brothers and sisters, that concludes our Passover. The sacrificial Passover occurred at evening. According to Deuteronomy 16:6, that evening was nighttime. I mean, at the going down of the sun. The sun is going down on the 14th day, they sacrifice their lamb. To put that sacrificial lamb at the start of the 14th day, where the clear text says the going down of the sun, then you're sacrificing the lamb on the 13th day. And then you're disrupting all the ordinances involved with that. Now, how does that relate to staying in the house? I can't explain that. But based upon the text that we've all read, multiple scriptures, emphatic, specific wording, it clearly shows that the sacrifice of the lamb occurs at the going down of the sun. With that, brothers and sisters, I pray that you was edified. I also pray that if you are worthy and you meet all the ordinances, in particular, if you are male who's been circumcised, because we can clearly read that if you're uncircumcised, you cannot take the Passover. But if you are a male who has been circumcised and you want to know the doctrine behind the Passover and why we do it, then I encourage you to tune in. I believe it's let me find it. I should have already had it prepared. I should already had it prepared. So let me show you. So where is it at? Wednesday, April the 1st at sundown at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Our head pastor, Brother Bowie, is going to give the Passover lesson. And as I said, I didn't deal with doctrine. I'm dealing with facts right here. You want to know in-depth detail and meaning about the doctrine? I highly encourage you to tune in or to go to your local Israel of God location. And to find out the locations, all you have to do is go to the israelofgod.com, and then they have the tabs where you can tab. Let me roll this up. They have this tab right here on the right, and it drops down. The Israel of God home, about the Israel of God, shows, feasts, locations, and locations of all the locations that the Israel of God has will pull up. And if there is a place that you stay at and there isn't an Israel of God location that's mentioned there, call the number and ask them, all the number, because each of these have a number. Call the number and ask them, where's the nearest Israel of God location to where you are at. But if there isn't one, brothers and sisters, I pray that you watch it online, because this is a salvational issue. You got to get it right in the ordinances, but we also have to get it right in our understanding what it means. With that, brothers and sisters, let's close it on out with the reading of our instructions. And it reads, brothers and sisters, the presentation of evidence is now complete. It is your duty to deliberate and render your conclusions. Your deliberation must be governed by the standard set before you. The question is not what you have heard before, what you prefer to be true, or what has been commonly taught. The question is whether the claim presented has been established by the weight of evidence. Your determination whether you are to determine whether the scriptures placed into the record support the claim by preponderance of evidence. That is, whether the evidence from the scriptures show the claim to be more likely true than not, based upon what is written. The burden of proof rests upon the claim itself, and it must be carried by scriptures. No one is permitted to shift the burden onto speculations, traditions, assumptions. The only admissible evidence in this deliberation is one source and one source only, the King James Version of the Bible. Therefore, you must not import external authorities, inherited teachings, or personal reasons to fill gaps in the record. Your decision must be tethered to what is actually written. Reasonable doubt is a controlling barrier to conviction. If after weighing the scriptures in the record, there remains reasonable doubt as to whether the claim has been established, you are not permitted to return a verdict affirming that claim. A conclusion may not be reached merely because it sounds plausible, familiar. It must be established by the evidence itself. If the biblical evidence does not produce a firm conviction grounded in what is written, you must withhold affirmation. Furthermore, to return a verdict affirming the claim, you must be able to account for and eliminate material evidence in the record that is contrary to that claim. Where passage conflict with asserted conclusions, or where contrary evidence remains unresolved, you may not ignore it. We're not ignoring the fact that it clearly told them to stay inside their house. It's clear that. But we have too much information that clearly says that they left on the 15th day. So by me not being able to explain that does not eliminate the fact that they left on the 15th day at nighttime. If you want to be stuck on them not coming out their house, first of all, that's just what Moses told them. That ain't what God told him to tell them. That's what Moses told them. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't carry the authority of God, but I'm just keeping it in the right parameters. But if you want to be hard-pressed, stuck on that, then we have to disrupt the whole timeline, because if they stayed in their house and did not come out until the morning, then that means that they did not leave on the nighttime of the 15th day. That means, according to what that says, and according to that hard-pressed logic, that means that they left on the 16th day. If we can't accept that, which we can't accept that because there's no scriptures to support that, then that coming out their house means that the sacrifice occurred not at the going down of the sun on the 14th day, but then at the going down of the sun on the 13th day. So therefore, all that event that occurred at night was on the nighttime portion of the 14th day. So therefore, that would allow them to stay in their house until the morning, but they still had to stay in Egypt all through the daylight portion of the day, or the 14th day, in order to leave Egypt at night on the 15th day. Then taking that disrupts the whole for the 14th day at evening to the 21st day at evening, because now you having something that clearly contradicts 7 days. You have 8 days. And then when you start your evening, if you want to say that start your evening there, come on, man, you got to explain that. I'm not explaining that. I gave a preponderance of evidence showing that the sacrificial lamb occurred at the going down on the 15th day. Excuse me, on the 14th day. Furthermore, to return a verdict affirming a claim, you must be able to account for and eliminate material evidence in the record. That one verse cannot disrupt 40 verses from the mouth of 2 or more witnesses. Did they stay in their house all night? Obviously, they didn't. Is the first time they were disobedient to us, the Lord, was when they first got into the wilderness? Come on, man. Where passages conflict with asserted conclusions, or where contrary evidence remains unresolved, you may not ignore it, minimize it, or explain it away by assumptions not found in the text. Everything I read was in the text. I did not assume nothing. But if you want to stay hard-pressed that they did not leave, then search the scriptures. Just don't stop there. You got to search the scriptures. Make it reconcile with everything else by finding out what is going on, because you can't even take the Passover then. Because I gave you abundance of evidence of when the Passover was supposed to be taken, but you had this one evidence that disrupts that whole thing. So this disrupts your whole Passover. You can't keep on going the way you were going based upon one thing that clearly contradicts everything else. So if you're going to stay stuck right there, then you have to stop right there until you're able to reconcile that with all the evidence that we put forth. Where passages conflict with asserted conclusions, or where contrary evidence remains unresolved, you may not ignore it, minimize it, or explain it away by assumptions not found in the text. Uneliminated contrary evidence sustains reasonable doubt. Where reasonable doubt stands, conviction is prohibited. You must not allow preconceived notions, because the only way we have a problem with, because we believe that the evening is the start of the new day, inherited doctrines, because that's what we've been taught, personal experience, or emotional attachments to influence your deliberation. So as you deliberating in that jury room daily with the scriptures, don't ignore that. You got a valid argument, but that valid argument does not minimize or eliminate all the factual evidence that's been placed into record. With that, brothers and sisters, I pray that you was edified. If you were, please like, post, and share. And this Wednesday, make time to see the lesson that Brother Bowie, the Israelite God, is going to give about the Passover. It's in Jesus' name. Oh, and I'll be coming back on live on Good Friday to deal with Good Friday this Friday. It's in Jesus' name. Amen.
In Jesus' mighty name. Hearken to your God, 10 commandments, what he gave to us. Walking through your neighborhood with Bibles, yeah, they stay with us. Famine in the land, see them sleeping, we gon' wake them up. Thus said the Lord, he coming to earth, he not gon' take them up. Try the spirit by the spirit, you won't be asleep. If you try the spirit by the spirit, you won't be deceived. If you try the spirit by the spirit, they can't lie to you. If you try the spirit by the spirit, Lord acknowledge you. He coming to earth, he not gon' take you up. Can't read that in the book, you just found out Christmas was pagan. Now you feeling kinda shook, remember the Sabbath, that was an old law. Ain't that what he rose for? No sir, he got rid of the sacrifice just like he told us. Hold up, so you telling me what I believe is a traditional lie? That would be correct. How couldn't I see it before? Cause Satan had his foot on your neck. The preacher just collecting the check. The congregation just bought him a jet. He riding the coupe, he just bought a new Lex. Prep flow dollar, you know he gon' flex. TD fakes, I mean TD Jakes. Leading this sheep straight into the lake. Read Isaiah chapter 24. Come out of the lie before it's too late. Bro, that's a bet. I'ma go look into this and then I'ma come back for a visit. Any advice that you can give me? Try the spirit by the spirit. Hearken to your God, 10 commandments, what he gave to us. Walking through your neighborhood with Bibles, yeah, they stay with us. Famine in the land, see them sleeping, we gon' wake them up. Thus said the Lord, he coming to earth, he not gon' take them up. Try the spirit by the spirit.